Okay guys, so big day here at Wheels Through Time. Gonna fire up a 113-year-old motorcycle for the first time in over a decade. Really incredible machine that we're walking back to the shop right now. A 1912 twin cylinder belt drive, and the bike's got some absolutely amazing history and some history that hits really close to home, guys. So we're gonna get this thing rolled back onto the lift, see exactly what we can do. So the goal of today is to get this motorcycle fired up and running. It's been over a decade since our pal Slow Joe Gardella had this thing fired up and running. After we get it running, we're gonna try and take it down the road. And then on top of that, I think if it runs well enough, we're gonna see exactly what sort of speeds this thing is capable of. As you guys know, we love the Insta360. We've been using the Ace Pro 2 for quite some time now. We actually just bought the brand new GoPro to see how these things stack up against each other. So excited to bolt them on the bike and see exactly how they perform. So bike at hand, such a special machine. Really kind of a 1-2 year only motorcycle. 1912 model X8D. Okay, so 1912, really kind of pivotal year for Harley Davidson because it's the year they went to chain drive, and it's the year that they bumped their twin cylinder engine displacement from 49 cubic inches to 61 cubic inches. So the beginning of the 61-inch big twin motorcycle was 1912. This example is far rarer than that big twin chain drive 61. It's a belt drive twin cylinder. Harley only did it 1911 and 1912, and this bike is almost all original stuff. So really, really close machine to me. We got some great history with because our friend Slow Joe Gardella actually owned this bike for a number of years. I raced against Joe on this bike, which I'll tell you guys all about. Many good memories with this motorcycle. And I know that it ran good. So we're gonna try and make it run good again. I got this bike this year. It's almost brand new here at Wheels Through Time Museum. Got this bike at the Las Vegas motorcycle auction. I was a phone bidder. This thing went off on Friday, and I was the lucky guy. I had my eye on this thing all the way back since 2012. There was an episode of What's in the Barn where we went down to the Barber Motorsports Museum during their Vintage Festival. They have a race for 100-year-old and older bikes only. My dad had been racing in that race for a long time. Joe's big into the preteens and the teens era stuff. So as we got into that pocket, Joe started entering the race. And as Joe entered the race, enter a very fierce rivalry between my dad and Joe, and then I started racing. So between the three of us, we had a ton of fun racing a couple years. So this is a raced motorcycle. Now, it's not a racing motorcycle. This is your standard road model from 1912. And Chris and I were just looking in the book. This is cool stuff. Legend Begins. It's the Harley Davidson publication, the resource for finding out production numbers modeled. You go through here and you've got everything from order blanks from back in the day, 1951 season order blank. It tells you all the colors, all the packages. So we go to 1912. This is the model X8D. It's 6.5 horsepower. I would imagine Joe, being the wizard that he was, milked a few more than 6.5 horsepower out of this thing. Joe was a wizard. Everything he did was tip-top, really, really impressive. So twin cylinder, mag ignition, full floating seat. So you got that pogo seat post there. Joe's actually got this really cool Messinger Superba leaf spring seat. It still actually has a stamp of the motorcycle in there. So it's a leaf spring seat. So not only do you have suspension in the post, but you've also got it in the seat. So 12 was a huge year, dude. Yeah. 12 was a huge year. So not only are they refining that twin cylinder and bumping the cubic inches on some, but 12 is also the first year for the clutch. Now, what the cool thing is, check this out on this side. This is such a neat piece of work here. There's 2 sets of spokes on this bike. So you've got the spokes on the wheel that connect to the hub, and then the clutch hub, there's a spline there, and then a ring nut that fastens the clutch hub to the wheel hub. Yeah. And then you have a set of spokes also connecting the belt pulley to the clutch hub. So you've got literally, it's like 2 wheels in the back going round and round.
Yeah,
but
because if you didn't know and you were looking at it, you would just think that was some homemade thing that somebody did and just added an extra wheel on there in order to get that drive for the belt.
So complex, and so many not just 1 year only parts, but they're 1 model only parts. Like this clutch rod. This clutch rod only is on the belt drive. 1 year only frame. It's got the different neck because the tanks were different from an 11 to 12. So 1 year only tanks. Maybe 1 year only oil tank.
But to prove your point, it just shows you how rapidly this stuff was changing.
It's
from
amazing.
year to year. They're just figuring out. They're trying something, taking what they figure out and applying it the next year. They're not waiting 5 years down the road and just letting people do it and then coming. It's like rapid changes.
It's on the fly developments, right? And so 1913, after the success of the chain drive, the belt's obsolete. Now you got a chain drive twin and you got a serious machine, 61 inch. The thing will clip you along 65, maybe 70 mile an hour at the top end. Very, very capable machines. So as far as capabilities go, I don't have a ton of experience measuring up a 12 chain drive versus a 12 twin belt drive. So today's the day.
Yeah.
We're going to figure that out. So yeah, it's definitely going to be sketchy for a number of reasons. So what we're looking at, guys, 28 by 2.5 inch wheels, skinny little things, clincher type rim, really primitive bead system. It's one of the sketchiest parts about taking this bike up to speed is running a clincher tire.
These are what, 90 pounds of pressure to keep the
on an original tire? Yeah, these are new or they're reproduction tires.
Yeah.
Are probably 20 years old, 30 years old. We'll probably run 50.
Yeah.
That's something that makes me nervous is period. Do I run 50? Or do I run? I don't know.
But when you talk about that, like in that era, like running 90 pounds of pressure in a tire, it sounds it's just astonishing.
It's absurd.
Yeah,
it's
but
absurd.
You had to keep it on the rim.
You had to keep it on the rim. See, what happens is when you're looking at a clincher wheel, the profile of the wheel is like this, and the profile of the tire is like this, and all you've got is that clinch there. So not enough tire pressure, and the tire rolls off the rim. Too much tire pressure, and the tire blows off the rim. So there's that pocket you want to stay right in the middle of. Yeah. So few people even have that experience, having race clinchers a little bit. I can tell you how I used to run them on dirt, but running for speed on the pavement's something else. So we're going to find out. So one of the things I noticed about this bike is it looked like Joe put it up in pretty good running condition. The tanks are drained. They're both empty. You got gas on both sides. I haven't checked the oil tank yet. The oil tank, and look at this, original caps. The beautiful caps. What do we got? Oh my gosh, that's full of oil. Whoa, you can see it?
Yeah, that's good. It's not sunk to the bottom end,
So let me tell you what that means. That is cool. Wait a minute. So Joe was a machinist. Joe was a perfectionist. Between Joe and our guy Ken here, those two guys probably had the world's fastest 1914 Harley Davidsons. Excellent tuner, excellent wrench, excellent restorer, and Joe was an excellent conservator, meaning he could take something that was original and maintain it, make it work perfectly, go through it, and have it to where it operates exactly as it was intended, but still retain that original look. So what we're looking at here, guys, is a 113-year-old oil tank. So the oil tank itself, there's no oil pump on this. The oil tank itself feeds oil to the engine 2 different ways. Firstly is with this needle and seat dripper here, and there's a little sight glass right down here. So as you unscrew this, it's gonna drip into this oil line here, and it's gonna feed it directly right to the lower end. Second way you got oil down to the bottom end is with the hand pump over here. So 2 purposes for the hand pump. One, when you do an oil change on one of these, and it's a total loss oil system, meaning that the oil in the lower end doesn't circulate back to the tank. So you crack that 1/2-inch drain plug down at the bottom, drain the oil out, and then you go pull this hand oil pump up here. It's like a little syringe type of pump. You hold it up, and then push it down, and that feeds oil right into the lower end. So one is during the oil change, and then two, it kind of acts like an engine saver. So you start to run this thing a little bit low on oil when you're motoring down the road, particularly high RPMs. You can pull this oil pump up and directly shoot oil right into the crankcase area, lubricate the connecting rods and such. So what the full oil tank means, sorry for being long-winded. What the full oil tank means is that those are operating so perfectly that there's no leak by. Okay, so this needle and seat here, I would imagine that Joe probably took the seat out, refinished the seat, refinished the needle. So for this thing to be 113 years old and none of that oil in this oil tank leak past that little needle and seat dripper, it's remarkable. Yeah. That is really, really cool. That makes me happy just to think about. Joe was such a good friend. It's just a reflection of who Joe was and everything he did. So that being said, and having seen that, in my head, this thing's probably gonna fire up relatively easy.
Clean gas tanks, full oil tank.
Clean gas tanks.
Not a lot much more than you spark, and then that's
unbelievable. So let's go ahead and check the spark plugs. Now we're gonna pull this thing up. Go ahead. What's up?
GoPro overheated already.
The GoPro overheated. We haven't even made it on the road yet. I swear. I mean, I'm long-winded, y'all, but it's not that long. Brand new camera.
Yeah,
it's right out of the box.
Literally just got it out of the box. Battery's charged.
And it doesn't work.
Okay, so we're gonna do a couple things. We're gonna check points gap. We're gonna see what our spark plugs look like. We're gonna check the plug gap. We're gonna make sure we got good hot spark. Then we're gonna start looking at adjustments. One of the first things I noticed was the rear chain adjustment is way loose. Only way to stop these things, guys, is with a coaster brake. Remember your bicycle when you were like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old? It's the only way to stop these things. So this here chain falls off, and you see how close this thing is to falling off? Look, we can just take it off. We're gonna need to adjust that. We're gonna check out all of our adjustment here. You know, it's okay. Remember, guys, we're going for speed. So this, we got some adjustment to do. We'll have it running in no time. So let's see what we got going on here. First thing on the spark plugs. One of the things I think you're gonna notice here, checking the plugs, is the plugs that we have on hand, guys, that we're using are actually original Splitdorf plugs. These plugs, ooh, still oily. That's just from spinning it over when we were walking it back here. Wow. Okay, so this is an original Splitdorf plug, probably 110-year-old spark plug. As you guys can see there, they're the green Splitdorfs. And I believe that is that a Burling mag? Let me look at this magneto. So one of the ways that we have ignition here, guys, it's mag ignition, meaning there's no battery, there's no headlight, tail light, there's no horn to power. Yeah, you see, they're very similar. Now, what you'll notice too is they definitely got some oil to them, so we're gonna try and tune that out. That rear one is definitely a little happier, but the gap is big and fat, so I think we're gonna be able to tighten that gap up. What kind of mag we got over here? It might be an early Bosch. I don't know what kind of mag that is. It is an early Bosch. Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah. Is that rare?
So it's an open Bosch that they've put a cover on. That's neat. You see what's going on? Yeah, so these early mags, they were open here, meaning you could see straight through it or through the magnet, in between the magnet and the armature. And this is old too, could be old aftermarket period accessory piece. They've got these two side covers to cover that area up. Probably keeps the armature dry.
Yep.
Wow, that's neat. I'm sitting there thinking, I'm not seeing a mag like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's some sort of tape. Then we're gonna see what we've got. I'm not even gonna loosen the belt here. Look at those points, they're beautiful. So what we're looking for here is we're gonna see what sort of gap we've got on the points. Right there's our gap, that's where the points are at. So we've got number one, man, and there's no side-to-side play. What you gotta look at is when these bodies start to wear out, that thing will move back and forth and it'll change your points gap. And that has been, it's either has no wear whatsoever, or Joe's fixed it. Okay, that's 17 thousandths. We're gonna leave the points. Well, let me check the rear. Okay, so we're rolling this points breaker lobe over. That's the funny thing about the mags, is these early Bosch mags, the points rotate. Wow. Now that one's a little tight. Okay. I'd go 17 and 14 would be fine. Yeah, okay. So we had 17 and 14.
Now, does that adjust independently? Or like, do you have to meet it in the middle?
What you have to do is you have to take this points interrupter ring off and you actually shim this up. And it may be worth sacrificing one of my really thin feeler gauges, like this piece of 2/2000 feeler gauge here. Yeah, I've done it. I've done it twice, 3 times already. Yeah, it is. Okay. So what we have now is a 2.5 shim. Okay, so it would run just fine like this, but if we're gonna run for speed, we're gonna make sure that this thing is as it should be. Slide that up, pop this off. So what we've got here is this little screw. And what we're gonna do is just loosen the screw up top here, lift that off, slide the shim in, and go from there. Yeah, you see now we've created the gap in here. And what we'll do is we'll cut this in half and we'll shim both sides. Slide the shim in the both sides. There we are, very nice, very nice. Okay, now we should right now get an immediate better reading.
So like on these early mags, because I know some of them, the wires connected more like they do on the like the coil on the Harley where the wire goes in, and these have like caps that
They're
connect,
little
most like the
sockets.
spark plug.
It's pretty primitive.
Yeah, okay.
It's primitive, you know, and it's obviously not the best way to do it.
Because it's just one more failure point.
It's
for
one.
that thing to pop off.
That's
if it gets
exactly
loose.
right.
Yeah.
You know, little vibration, and if you look over here, Steve, you can see what Chris is talking about right back here. That thing, wiggle the tip of that around just a little bit. It's just on a little ball.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't need much to transfer the spark, but you know, high vibration, that thing.
When you think
know,
about running on unimproved roads in 1912, and it's like you're not running, you're running on smooth streets, you're on dirt and rocks and.
Exactly right. 2000s. What did we gain? We're aiming for 17. Oh yeah, I like it. Cool, okay. Points are even. So let's go ahead and put our cotter pin back in, and we'll put the points cap back on. I do want to set the gap on those spark plugs.
You said you're gonna bring it in a little bit.
I do. I want to run about 19 thousandths gap on those spark plugs.
So here's a question for
Yep.
you. If people in America smile, does that mean that people in the UK scalometer?
That's a winner. I thought it was going to be some joke about does your toilet rotate backwards in Australia, but you have redeemed yourself. Let's just go home. We don't even have to fire this thing up.
1912, right?
Yeah, we don't even have to figure that. We don't have to fire it up. Wow, he's right at 19. God, man, when you're good, you're good. And Joe was good. Those plugs, since we're gonna ride out to our location, I think those plugs are gonna be just fine. So we're looking for the longest, straightest road in Maggie Valley. We'll go where me and Sean raced. All right, so now we've got some push rod adjustment. One of the things I noticed And you have such little valve lift on these that all those adjustments are crucial. Because, you know, you get 10 thousandths play on a push rod. You know, one, the thing's gonna make crazy noise, but two, you're losing 10% of your lift.
You're starving yourself for fuel, right?
Yeah, you're losing 10% of the lift. It's not pulling in fuel and air. Okay, Chris, go ahead and spin that pulley over. We're gonna look at our front, what we've got. Yeah, we got up and down there. I'm gonna go ahead and take that out. Man, see, one of the things about Joe was he had such an eye for originality. Everything on this bike, down to the push rods, the push rod adjusters, the push rod lock nuts, all original stuff. And no spring tension, look at that. One finger opens your valve. Push rod comes out, push rod comes in. I bet we're probably running a perfect 6 thousandths of an inch. So I'd call it 8 thousandths. You want 6 to 8 on the exhaust, light roll on the intakes.
So how often were guys having to adjust, like back in 1912 when you're riding this machine, how often are you checking those?
I'd say you're checking every day.
Every day,
you
yeah.
know, and I it's just one of those things you want to stay on top of.
Yeah. Which sounds like crazy for people today because people just get in their car and ride it, you know.
Yeah,
They don't.
you get in car and drive. You get on your bike and you just ride. There's nothing to do. This looks like it may be tighter clearance here. You know, and it's just something you just stayed on top of. 8 thousandths. Okay. Wow. Very cool. All right. One of the things I was noticing here is this toolbox is definitely open and not closing. I may even have a key. I might have a toolbox key. What's in here? Feels like spark plugs. What do we got? That's a master link. Look, master links for this chain. So that something tells me that's been broken before. I'll tell you what, man. I know I have a key for that, and I sure would like to lock it. So we're gonna go in the museum and see if, because I can't be riding down the road having that flying open, and I sure don't wanna just wire it shut because that's just a little silly. Okay, we're gonna adjust this chain now. Chris, so you come on over to the other side.
Yep.
And what we've gotta do here is we have to loosen the eccentric, and then this is super easy to adjust that drive chain. So you'd adjust the belt, one with the belt tensioner, but two with the rear axle adjusters. Yep. As you adjust the rear axle, you're gonna change this adjustment. Now this belt's tight. I don't wanna bring the axle back. What I wanna do is use the eccentric and the pedal crank to pull that chain sprocket on that side forward. Ooh, that's tight. It's tight. Ooh. Actually, there we go. Okay, so now let's go ahead and tell me how our adjustments change it. Tight?
Not tight.
Where are
still.
we at? Yeah, we still need
Still
more.
a little ways to go. Okay, right there.
That's pretty good. So there's a center sleeve that goes through this part of the frame that has a hole off center. And that hole off center is what allows the pedal crank to move like this in this hole. So when you rotate that around with the front hole forward, you're stretching that distance between the chain. Did it tighten up any?
A little bit.
Okay, that's all right.
I can see it moving. So it's yeah.
Yeah, that'll work. Okay, what are we ready to do, man? I think we're ready to drain this oil, replenish it. We're gonna see what the hand oil pump does. That's gonna be crucial. And then also, we'll get a timer on the dripper. Now, Joe had this thing marked with nail polish, which I don't really know what it means. We're gonna look in here and see if we can't get an idea for drips. You got your stopwatch out? Ready?
Yep.
1/8 of a turn, 1/4 of a turn, 1/2 a turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
15 seconds.
8 times 4 is 30. I think we can do 30, so we're gonna go half. 30 is gonna be oiling it a lot, you know? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep an eye on that while we're running, and I may keep the dripper off and use that and have it primed. Okay, so next step, lower end oil level is crucial when you're operating these bikes. Too little, obviously, causes problems, and you can imagine what. At the same time, too much really causes some problems. Oh, wow, so that had a ton of oil in it. Well, for our purpose, I want to run about 3 ounces. Yeah. And then we're gonna see how much 1 pump of oil fills. Hand pump, test number 1. 1. Not nearly as much as I would have thought. Let's go. I think it's gonna take 4 pumps to prime this engine. It's working better though with each pump.
Yeah, every time.
So there's something to think about. So yeah, I think we're right at an ounce each pump. So I think what I want to do is start with 3 really good pumps in there. Too much oil, guys, is like running in a swimming pool. Literally running in a swimming pool. So you can really burn one of these engines up just as fast with too much oil as you can with too little oil. Now, in a way, they were self-regulating, meaning as you accumulate just little bits of too much oil, it's either gonna go blow out the crankcase vent, which is right back here, underneath the muffler here. It's gonna blow by the rings, which obviously isn't a perfect scenario. We always laugh about it because guys nowadays can, your modern day motorcycle, when you think about blowing oil past your rings into the combustion chamber, it sounds crazy. Why would you ever want to do that? And obviously it's not the goal, but these engines, they were designed to rid themselves of excess oil. That was just how they did it back then. So 100 years later, we know a lot better.
To me, it's just funny too how this crankcase vent is, obviously not copious amounts of oil, but it's shooting oil out right
onto
at your
the
rear
tire. Yeah, onto the tire, on the rear tire, which something to think about when we go riding. Okay, let's do this. We got 3 pumps, right? Yep. So there's one pump, 2 pumps. I can't believe how good this works.
Yeah.
3 pumps. That pump works better every time we use it. Okay, 3 pumps, and I'm gonna draw another one in.
Yep. Just so it's ready to go.
Yeah, and then I think we're ready for gas. Do we have gas back here?
I'll go get some.
Okay.
Yeah, and we need to find that key.
Yeah, let's go do that. I think I know right where it's at. Let's go push this thing through. We're gonna fire it up outside for the first time. So what we're gonna do, guys, first tests, we're gonna clip that GoPro to the handlebars, run a couple times around the building, see how she performs, then take her out to the road. So one of the things I'm not crazy about is what's underneath this tape, and I feel like it's broken. That's not great, but I can weld that, and I'm gonna weld it in place on the bike. So what we've got, guys, fender brace is broken. That does not look like really fun metal to weld, but we're gonna try it. I'm gonna just lock that nut right to it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna weld the nut right to it. It's not an optimal scenario. It's not optimal to be broken either. See what we're gonna do here? We're just gonna try and reattach this, and then we're gonna tape it again, just because. There we go. Cool to the touch.
Yep.
Good. Okay. 1912. Now, next thing is those plugs were burning a little rich. We're not gonna know what it's like until we get out and go down the road. We'll do a spark plug inspection when I take it out and come back and we'll see how it's burning, but everything's adjusted really well. All right, well, I think, let me tape that. I'm gonna tape it anyway. Boom. Looky there.
Looks just like it did.
Just like Joe would have done. All right, there it is. Let's get this sucker out and on the road. We need a key. We still need a key. Yep. Oh, whew, we did not check tire pressure. Yep. Last 2 races on my board track bike too, that's exactly what I did. Blew that thing out. I was running into turn 1 and smacked the throttle real hard, and freaking all of a sudden something came up and felt like somebody punched me in the back.
Yep.
And it was the tire. So we're going to 60. Got 30, 28 in that one. Okay. All right, let's go. Sun's out. Oh, pardon us, y'all. You want to race? Yeah. What's up, guys? How are y'all? How you doing? Good. You guys doing well? All right, good deal. I'll catch up with y'all in a minute. Stop at the teen shop. There's either one here or there's one up in the office. So let's see. Those are all big nose. Got my skeleton key collection. Okay, we got one shot here. One shot there, and then if these ain't it, I bet they're upstairs. Oh, there it is. What's up, guys?
Hey, how's it going?
Really good. How y'all today?
All right, doing good.
All right, good deal. We're looking for a... Nope, that won't turn it, but we're in the zone. That is the right type of key. We're very close. Come on now. Oh, bummer. Let's keep this one with us. All right. All right, we got one more option for a key. Fingers crossed. And then it's also real possible that the lock might just be broken. Right here. All right. Fingers crossed. Come on and let me get this key working here. Oh, come on. I'm gonna go ahead and say that the lock is broken. And taking it apart is not in the cards at the moment. You guys wanna hear this thing run? Yeah. All right, I thought you'd never ask. Do you wanna grab some gas? Cool, come on outside, guys, we'll meet you out there. All right. Okay. We'll go a little more. So pedal starting one of these is actually really easy. Clutch engage, this has a belt and a clutch. So you've got the belt pulley tensioner right here where you can loosen and tighten that belt. We're gonna leave the belt tight all the time. You've got the clutch engage, so you pull this back and that rear wheel will spin real easy. You push it forward and you spin the engine over. So this has a decompressor way on the back side of your spark advance. So this operates your magneto ignition timing, but when you roll it all the way off or roll it all the way on, it actually pulls your compression release up and it lifts the exhaust valves. Fuel shut off right here. So you got 2 split tanks. These are fuel shut offs. Oil's down here. There's a hand pump to give it some more oil, and then there's also a dripper over on the other side. As far as the carburetor goes, super primitive. This is the choke, which you unscrew. And as you unscrew it, you're like, there's like this leather flap that's like the metering, the air metering valve on this that seats against the outside of the carb body, or the inside, the outer diameter seats inside the carb body. So what you're doing when you unscrew this little lever here is it's spring loaded. and you're just tightening that spring, which simulates a richer mixture. It makes it harder for that leather flap metering valve to be pulled off of its seat. So you fire it up that way. As the engine warms up, you ease the spring tension back off. So then there's a carburetor tickler here, which is overfloating the carburetor. And what you're looking for is like a drip down here on the bottom. And we're not quite there yet. Any drip yet? There we go. So when you decompress the engine and you lift the exhaust valves, all you've got to do is pedal this thing over, and you're basically getting those flywheels, building up some inertia. And then you drop the decompressor and you ought to be good to go. So fingers crossed that we've got fuel. Wow. That's amazing. Yeah. I wish I was taller. Wow, that is amazing. I cannot believe how good this operates. Holy smokes. Unbelievable, and it is definitely the cushiest 1912 Harley I've ever ridden. Man, that leaf spring seat is nice. So, I think we're gonna get out and go blast down the road on this thing. What I wanna do is pull the plugs, check and see where we're at. It's running so good, it's crazy. You ready to do 80? It feels like it'll go, man, but I think 60. 60's our number. Tell me if it starts smoking. I'm gonna ride it around one more time, all right? I'm gonna pump the oil in it.
So yeah, what you could see.
Just a little blue? Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Then we're just in the zone. Good stuff. Wow, man, this thing it's really smooth and it's really balanced. Powering off.
GoPro shut down again.
It's junk. It's really awesome. It's hard to ride because all you have is pedals to stop, you know?
Yeah.
And the brake is like...
It exists.
Yeah, it exists. The brake is kind of like if you had about a teaspoon of brake fluid in your new bike, that's about what it feels like. So, but it'll go really good, man. Let's check the plugs and just see where we're at, because I was zipping around just fine. Little oil up here. A little oil in the valve spring area. I'm gonna go right in here. A little bit of valve spring action. Okay, I'm happy with that. And then, ooh, they still hot, but that's okay. You got a little, thank you, sir. All right, we're looking for less oily and a little more brown than they were. Ooh, I like that. It's on the way to better. You remember how dark it was? When we're gonna run down the road, I'm gonna be leaning that thing out.
Yeah.
But I think it's right where we wanna be. Let me check the rear. Ooh, that's nice. See, that was the cleaner of the two plugs to start with, and that's right where we wanna be. Okay. Okay. I feel like we should drain the lower end.
Okay.
And just to start fresh from where we were.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, let's do it. It's gonna be a smart thing to do. Oh, wow. We didn't run along, but that's about right where we started.
That's good.
That's very good. All right, I like it. So we're starting with 3 fresh pumps again, and then we opened it a half. And we're gonna blast right out there. We're not even gonna stop. We'll go up, we'll go back, we'll stop, figure out what we ran. I need a full face because I do not want to run without a full face helmet. Beep, beep. Sorry, broken bike.
Oh man, beautiful motorcycle.
Well, thanks, man. It kind of quit on me. How do you do?
Doing great, brother. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Well, it's very
I
nice
watch
to
your
meet you.
videos all the time.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Well, thanks for watching, man. I sure
That's
appreciate
beautiful,
it.
man.
So what happened? I don't know. I think I ran out of fuel. Really? Yeah. I forgot to open the muffler. We're just spraying for mosquitoes. Yeah, well, I was running it with the muffler closed. 35. 40. 45. 50.
55, 56-ish. Hi, sir. How are you? Imagine seeing you on this road.
Ha! 56 miles an hour.
I was gonna say, it looks like you touched off around 55-ish.
Awesome. I am absolutely stoked on that result. One thing is definitely for sure, we hit the limits of that carburetor. I know we were floating valves. It was spitting fuel back out the carburetor. Definitely kind of topped it out there with a little more valve spring tension, a bigger carb. This thing is definitely capable of more. All in all, performed incredible. Definitely a testament to Joe's work. Happy to have it here at Wheels Through Time. Oh man, that was an absolute ton of fun. 113-year-old motorcycle, 56 miles per hour. Chris and I are gonna get back to work and hose this thing down, clean it back up, get it ready for display. If you guys wanna get a camera that actually works, you see the Ace Pro 2, it's still rolling, make sure you get one. There's a link below. Make sure you check out either one of these 2 videos, guys. We'll catch you next time around. God, man, that was fun.
Yeah, man.
We gotta do that again.